What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Conqueror Kackis. Guys, make sure to hit like and subscribe to support the channel, and let me know what you want my next intro name to be. That comment section is wild. So today we are going to be discussing Grandmaster Nightfalls. They have officially returned in Destiny 2 Season of the Splicer, and these are generally some of the hardest endgame activities available. Sometimes we'll talk about when they deviate, but also they can be extremely rewarding. So, is it worth doing Grandmaster Nightfalls this season? Well, this is actually, I'm going to say, one of the worst seasons for Grandmasters that we've had in quite a while. This is definitely one of the seasons where Grandmasters are something that you really shouldn't prioritize unless some very specific conditions are met. Now, what am I talking about here? Well, firstly, let's look at the actual strikes themselves available for Grandmaster rotation in Season of the Splicer. We start things off today with Glassway. Remove the GL, and that's what it really is. I mean, this is arguably the hardest Grandmaster Nightfall strike in the entire game. The boss fight is absolutely brutal, whereas some entire Grandmasters will not have a single champion spawn within a boss fight. Glassway throws 3 to 4 champions, like, it seems like 8 different times during that boss fight. Every time you get the boss to either 1/3 or even halfway through that third, it's spawning champions. So it drains your heavy ammo so intensely. If you are gonna attempt this Grandmaster, I would highly recommend someone use the Aeon Gauntlets so that you can, well, if you put on the specific mod, you can get heavy ammo for finishing champions. That is like almost required within this Grandmaster. But it's not just Glassway. If we take a look at the available strikes, we have Insight Terminus. That can actually be a pretty brutal boss fight as well, where you're defending the different plates with almost no cover and what seems like infinitely spawning Cabal. Then we've got Fallen Saber. Again, a pretty rough boss fight, especially with all of the electricity around. Now that one's not quite as bad, but again, a lot of people find that on the harder side. We have Warden of Nothing, which can be a longer, more difficult strike for sure. I don't find that one that bad, but still not an easy one. And then the Disgraced Omnigul, that is another pretty brutal boss fight. That arena is absolutely tiny and it throws a million adds at you. The only quote-unquote easy Grandmaster strike available for this season is Inverted Spire, in my opinion. And that would mean that potentially the strategy, and what I'm kind of going to recommend here, is to just grind Grandmaster when either Inverted Spire is in the rotation, or wait until the end of the season where you can select which Grandmaster you want, and that way you can still target farm certain adept Nightfall weapons without spending 40 minutes per run in Glassway or Insight Terminus, right? And for Glassway, it really can take 40 minutes. It's brutal. And we have to take a look at the Nightfall rewards themselves. Now, just like last season, it is absolutely worth praising Bungie about these rewards. Adept Nightfall loot is fantastic. They're, outright better than the normal versions. However, the 3 weapons on offer, the Sniper Rifle, the Plug 1 Fusion Rifle, and the Hung Jury Scout Rifle, I don't think they're quite to the quality of last season's weapons. Now, later on, you're going to be able to grind last season's weapons, so that's pretty important. But if we look at the Hung Jury, even though it's actually pretty decent, 180s scouts are just suffering so hard in the meta, it's not really worth grinding and grinding for an amazing adept god roll. The sniper, the Uzume, is actually pretty darn good. It has a pretty desirable god roll, especially when you can get the Adept Big 1 spec mod, and the Plug 1 is actually a pretty competent weapon. It's got a PvE god roll involving Feeding Frenzy Reservoir Burst, and it's actually pretty decent in PvP as well. However, fusion rifles, people either love them or they hate them, and there's definitely more people that hate them. So you don't have quite as desirable weapons as something like the Palindrome, which was a really sought after weapon, great for both PvE and PvP. Not to mention, if you did grind Grandmasters last season, you need to way less this season, because one of the main rewards was the fact that Adept mods can drop from Grandmasters, but there's only so many, and Bungie hasn't added any more. So if you were playing GMs last season, if you were doing arms dealer grinding, which took like 11 minutes to complete, you probably got all of those Adept mods. And so is it worth doing Glassway runs or Warden of Nothing runs to get those again? Absolutely not. But with that being said, I want to make something clear. I'm not saying that the rewards this season are somehow worse than last season's. In fact, they're technically better because there's just more weapons in the loot pool. But I'm saying you can get all of these rewards for simply waiting and biding your time until the inverted spire is available, or until you can specifically select it at the end of the season, right? None of these rewards are that pressing that you need to get them right now, especially because not only are the strikes available definitely on the harder end, but they're more so on the harder end because we have some of the worst mods for completing Grandmasters available in the seasonal artifact. Seriously, remember last season when we had anti-barrier sniper rifles? Oh my, Grandmasters were free because of that. You could throw on a Secession, you could throw on a Frozen Orbit, all these powerful snipers, and break barrier champions, which were in like every single Grandmaster. What a fantastic mod, and that made a Grandmaster significantly easier. What do we have this season? Well, we do have Unstoppable Grenade Launcher mod. Now, that's actually pretty darn good. But the problem is that there's no unstoppable champions in like any of these damn strikes. Seriously, only 2 of these strikes available for the entire season have unstopped champions. The Glassway and a lot of the other ones have Overload and Barrier. So our kind of anti-champion mod, every season usually we have a mod that lets a special weapon deal with champions. It doesn't even come up for 80% of the strikes available. So that is hugely problematic. What makes it even worse is that you really want to be able to use grenade launchers because you get the Breach and Clear mod, and Breach and Clear plus Anarchy is fantastic. Melting bosses is a lot easier, and melting champions is definitely easier as well, but you still gotta stun them. And like being able to not have a special weapon that's great for that, it really does make things harder than last season, like significantly more difficult than last season, just because we kind of got gypped out of a really good anti-champion mod. Now, with all that being said, I'm still doing every single Grandmaster strike. Like, I'm getting Gilded Conqueror ×3 easily, but I want to let you guys know what's going on this season, and just because of the quality of the strikes, the rewards being not maybe as desirable as last season's, if you're someone who already has a lot of Adept mods and the Adept weapons from last season. So I think if you're a normal player, if you're someone who dabbles in Grandmasters and isn't super hardcore about them, I think there's really no need to furiously try to level up. I think you're going to naturally achieve that level by the time Grandmasters are available to select, and I think that is the time to absolutely go out and grind them. It's really not a bad idea to just avoid them until we get to that point. Guys, that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed and found this interesting. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at @RickKackis. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.